or so political parties. Out of those 83 or so political parties, less than 10 have got a sizable presence in the country. So are you comfortable with this? Where if today I chose to live here from a party, one party, then I come to be, have you the party of big money? I don't know about it. So that is my concept that people currently therefore emphasize. Right.
Given to all political parties, all fully registered political parties that participated in the previous elections. And then 60% will be distributed depending on the number of votes that each political party garnered in the previous election. And then 10% to be distributed depending on the number of seats that the political party garnered at all levels, from presidential to MCA. And lastly, 10% to be distributed according to the number of SIGs, women, youth, persons with disabilities, marginalized, that the party has managed to sponsor to parliament or the elective body, the respective elective body. And we believe that if this is done, then we will give life to multi-party democracy in this country. Secondly is the question of funding of the political parties fund, political parties liaison committee. So here we have a committee, creature of section 38 of the Constitution, of the Political Parties Act, but the political parties liaison committee doesn't have teeth, doesn't have strength, because it is not funded by the Exchequer. Currently, we receive some little funding, very little funding, through the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, and occasionally we receive some funding from some of these NGOs. And we feel that the Political Parties Liaison Committee, given that it is the most representative body of all political parties in this country, should have an independent fund so that it can achieve its main goal. Indeed, the Political Parties Liaison Committee was created to foster dialogue. That is a word in the Act, dialogue between IBC, the Registrar of Political Parties, and all political parties. if PPLC was hitherto funded and operated as per the expectation of the law, then probably even this committee that you are presenting before will not be there, because perhaps most of those issues that have been raised today will have been dealt with at that level. That is my presentation, and that is our presentation as PPLC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chairman?
Co-chairs, I still have 2 items, and I'm still within my time.
Yeah.
I'm still on my time. Now, the issue of supplements and entrenchment of the state officers, it's not really our issue per se, but we still have a small point on the same. But very brief, Mr. Leo, very brief, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. For the record, my name is Mike Oliewo. I am the Chair of the Legal and Disputes Resolution Subcommittee of the PPLC. And I want to talk about issue number 4. That's the one I want to address. And my submission will be very brief on the establishment and entrenchment of state officers. We have no problem with this, because this, in our opinion, is not our issue, but we have something to say about the entrenchment of the political parties liaison committee as an independent office of its own. As a matter of law,
I thought that point was covered by your previous colleague.
I'm giving it a simple dimension, and I'll take only 2 minutes.
Thank you.
And I'm done. As matters stand, we are a creation of Section 38 of the Political Parties Act to bring together all political parties in the table of dialogue and IBC and ORPP. However, Section 34 of the Political Parties Act gives the registrar powers which we are comfortable with to register, regulate, monitor, investigate, and supervise political parties. We have no problem with those powers. But Section 34B now gives the registrar, Office of the Registrar, powers to administer the political parties' funds. Now, we find that legally uncomfortable, because the supervisor, the guy who registers you, monitors you, supervises you, so that you comply with the law, also happens to control the money, and then also wants to make sure that they audit you. As a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, you can see it is very uncomfortable as a matter of law. So we want to be established as an independent body, so the registrar can concentrate on registration, monitoring, regulation, and supervision. And we access our funds directly from the consolidated fund. That's my humble submission, Mr. Chair.
Thanks so much, Leo, our Chair of the Subcom. Now, my last bit, then I give the summary. I want to give my colleague, the Secretary of the Legal Subcom, who is seated next to me, to dispense the issue of fidelity to political parties, coalitions, and the law to multi-party democracy.
Thank you very much. My name is Gadhi Irogo, and I'm happy my MP, Honorable Ishchungwa, is around, and my colleagues, lawyers.
But you said you are
Tujibebe wa Kenya Party.
Thank you.
Yes.
So you have something in common.
I'm saying Honorable Ishchungwa.
Is your MP?
And also,
on a light note, I'm sure
yes.
Welcome, Wakili Rungo. He was our county speaker.
Thank you.
But I am not his MP. He's from Ruiru.
I have property next to you. Thank you very much. And
is in disclosures.
yes,
the property class.
Our issue is very basic. We are saying discipline in political parties. Political parties are the ones who are bringing democracy within the republic. So discipline. What is the problem with the discipline? So that we don't direct you and then you learn away from us. And one of the issues is even judicial processes. We are requesting that we have timelines. In presidential elections, we have 14 days. In MPs, we have 60 days. 6 months. So we are saying the law should be changed so that we have timelines within which to finalize these disputes. And then we change the law a bit so that we can have support and enhancement for political parties, so that we don't have, like so many political parties are complaining, their MPs, their MCAs have line away from them. So how do we get to do this within the law? That is our submissions on that.
Thanks so much, Wakiri. Now, co-chairs, we are still within our time. And given that we have...
Are you really, truly within your time?
Yes, we are within co-chairs, Your Excellency. And given that you are our members, all of you, as PPLC, so you'll have the privilege, we'll have the privilege of just doing a summary for 2 minutes. First, you have had the submission from the PPLC, from issues ranging to fidelity to political parties, which has been a problem affecting us. So I'm wishing that this committee will come up with recommendations which will see some electoral reforms, and we have given you our proposals. But for purposes of the immediate, because I'm a member of the IPC selection panel, courtesy of the PPRC, we are proposing some of the things that can be for the immediate, because as a country we need to have the IPC commissioners. And for purposes of inclusivity, if there was a feeling that there is any part of the coalition or formation that is not included, if we can have the committee to have 2 members, a man and a woman, to represent the 2 coalition party, so that we can be 9, and then we continue to complete the process. Then for purposes of future, for prosperity, that is where we felt that now PPRC will be recognized with more other members. The other issues which have been captured and the legal reforms, the registrar of political parties, it has been very difficult for us to distinguish between her as the regulator and her as a member of the dialogue platform where she sits. So you find her doing everything. So those recommendations we have given should be able to go. The other issue, you have had most of my members mention about you as a dialogue committee. It's like the house of PPRC is where you are supposed to be. But this house was not well built, so we are recommending that if we can do an amendment to the law so that we have a platform. Because when we look at our elections, for now and for the future, we'll always have disputes. As we are going to address the issues of either how do we do it in terms of proportional representation, what issues is devoting Kenya, is it the winner takes it all? I'm sure there are many proposals. But in the event that we have a dispute, we need to have PPRC, because in the PPRC is where you engage the election management body. There is no any other platform where you can engage IPC. So that when you are clear that the rules of the game, everybody, all the registered political parties, like last year we had 83 of them. It's in IPC, or rather it's in PPRC that you engage the election management body on the nomination rules of the political parties. It's in PPRC that you engage IPC on the election management plan, what they are planning. It's in IPC, or rather in PPRC, that you engage the election management body on issues of membership, not any other place, because you cannot engage the IPC as a coalition party, either Kenya Kwanza or Azimio. And for your information, PPRC is more anchored, is like, because coalitions, you never know what will happen tomorrow. We have members here who joined coalitions who want to leave. So if you want to say you factor in coalitions, it will be difficult, as coalitions are things that move. I think I submit with those presentations, and I wish to answer a few questions.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chair. Indeed, yeah, we now open to this dialogue between the dialogue committees. Opio.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll be very, very brief. I just want to find out from the PPLC.
Yes.
Their comfort with the current with the current structure of the PPLC itself. And I say this with the utmost respect. At the last count, we had about 83 or so political parties.
Yes.
out of those 83 or so political parties, less than 10 have got a sizable presence in the country. So are you comfortable with the situation where if today I chose to leave ODM and form a party, a one-man party, as it were, then when I come to PPLC, I have equal vote with UDA, the party of Honorable Imani Chungwa. I don't know about that. But so that is my concern.
Yes.
That PPLC is currently constituted is not, it has issues. Yes, because I see a lot of decisions being made at PPLC on account of vote within the PPLC, but would therefore actually disenfranchise more significant players. Two, and last, you have proposed a complete audit of the 2022 elections. Would you kindly help us understand how we want this audit to be undertaken? Okay? And by when? Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Mesate, you
Can
will
you-
note the questions.
Yeah, note the questions.
Then you answer, and maybe also follow the leader of minority.
Honorable
You,
Chair,
you organize yourselves who will answer which question, just be noting them.
Honorable Chair.
And Chair, I want to associate myself first with what Honorable Pio and I have said in terms of the voting rights within PPLC, that those political parties that have more so to say a larger stake in terms of the strength of membership and elected representation, be it in the county assemblies or in parliament, should have a bigger say within the PPLC. But also looking at your presentation around the issue of electoral justice and IEBC, your memoranda seems to have two conflicting propositions. One, you are saying that we increase the commissioners, IEBC commissioners, to 9, and they should be appointed by all fully registered political parties under the umbrella of PPLC. And you rightly say that restricting this role to parliamentary parties will defeat the very principle of inclusivity, and I agree with you on the question of inclusivity. But you're also contending that PPLC has no legal entrenchment, is not entrenched in law as an independent body. The I in IEBC is for independence. I would want to hear how then will IEBC, that is being appointed by political parties, how do you intend that IEBC to be independent when it is being appointed by a non-independent body? Two, you don't seem to recognize that the 2010 Constitution also now gives Kenyans the right to run for political office as independent candidates without affiliation to any political party. I'd want to hear what your view is in terms of the independent candidates who don't have to be affiliated to any political party. The other proposition you make, you say that PPLC proposes for inclusivity, the formula used to appoint members of IEBC selection panel be used to appoint commissioners. You are now proposing that PPLC, the IEBC selection panel, which Misati sits in, convert itself into an appointing authority for IEBC commissioners, if that is the understanding. Those two propositions, which then is your proposal, because they both seem to conflict. One, you want all political parties to be the ones to appoint commissioners. The other one, you are bringing in other players that sit in the selection panel to be the appointing authority for IEBC. And maybe without repeating the question on audit of the elections, you rightly say that data should be stored by IEBC for 3 years. How do you propose that that audit be done, if not within what is already proposed in law? Eugene?
Thank you very much, Honorable Co-Chairs. I think mine is on the issue of fidelity to multipartyism. And I think you rightly observed our history. We started out as a multi-party state at independence. We went back to a single-party state in the 90s. And there is a danger currently of going back to a single party state again. One of the issues has been the danger of vandalizing or cannibalizing political parties. We have 90 now, but there's a push to have probably one or two major parties. I'm very pleased that I can see a proposal you have made of amendment of the Political Parties Act, but this is with regard to funding. What I wanted to find out is whether you have any proposed legislation in terms of enforcing party discipline, where perhaps, as it was before, if a member defects from party A to party B, they cross the floor, they should go back to the electorate so that they have a say in that movement. And if they do not agree with a particular member, they can send him home and pick another member. Do you have any proposed amendment apart from what you have tabled here to enforce party discipline? The second issue is the issue of cost of living. You have proposed that one way of lowering the cost of living is by doing away with some of the taxes and some of the levies. You mentioned in your presentation 16 of them, but you have not made a specific proposal as to which one, because this committee has the powers to make a recommendation to the current government on the issue of cost of living. We'll be very happy to hear from you out of the 16. And we're talking about quite a number, particularly on fuel. We have the excise duty, the VAT that was increased recently by the Finance Act from 8 to 16 that have substantively pushed up fuel prices. We have the road maintenance levy, petroleum development levy, petroleum regulatory levy, railway development levy, anti-adulteration levy, merchant shipping levy, import declaration. All these taxes have pushed up the cost of living. Which of these are you proposing, and you want to propose to the Kenya Kwanza government, should be dropped to bring down the cost of living?
You have some?
Let
don't
go
have-
first.
Okay, Patrick?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Mine was, I think it's on the gender. You gave us a proposal. Fine, that women rep seats should remain in position. Fine. But that will not have solved the two-thirds gender rule. And you moved further and guided us to go to borrow a bit from the county assemblies and how they've done it. But still, it will not be able to solve that. I would expect that you give us a way on how to go about it. At least one or two proposals, specific proposals on how to get about and go about this two-thirds gender rule. And next, again, still it's on the audit of the 2022 elections. Somebody mentioned about the audit. Remember, we had about 6 positions that were voted for. So as you ask for the audit, which specific audit are you looking at? Maybe we'd also get a clarification on that. And finally, on the political parties funding, you've made a proposal of percentages or percentages. With all fairness, there are parties which do not even have any representation anywhere. They're just in existence. Why would they deserve to get this 15% that you have proposed for all across, for all parties? Maybe give us a reason as to why you think it should be across all the parties. Thank you.
Aaron. Thank you, Chair. Just 2 questions. Number 1, I see from the memorandum that PPLC is in support of the audit of the 2022 elections. I'd wish to know if they're interested in the main general elections alone or the party primaries as well, because that forms or informs the final decision. Before you get to the final ballot, you run
are the ones who should become commissioners. Because on the other hand, you are saying the 89 political parties should be allowed to pick commissioners. Wouldn't it be so difficult? Why can't we say political parties be allowed to pick commissioners based on the strength of their representation in National Assembly. Because how do you pick these commissioners, 9 of them, from a pool of 89 political parties? Thank you.
My little understanding of politics and democracy is that politics, particularly parliamentary politics, is about horse trading and interests. You are voted first and foremost to represent that constituency. If your party brings an act of parliament or a motion or whatever regulations that are ultra-vires to the interests also of your respective constituency or your respective region, but you have this situation where you've been elected by that party within that formation, or from that region, or from that constituency. I was looking for that clause that says that there shall be freedom of speech in Parliament. It's the only restatement of freedoms outside the Bill of Rights, which effectively means, that's why I was coming to the same question which Opio had put together, had asked, what is the reach of party discipline? If you think a matter is of advantage to you in your constituency, and you have been voted in by ODM, and this matter might be ultra-bias to your interest, just giving practical examples, or you have been voted in by UDA, or that is your party, and it is ultra-bias, I think parliamentary processes and democracy in its generality actually does allow you to do some horse trading and vote in the best interest of your people at that point of representation. So I want you to also to try and elaborate. What is the reach of this being deemed to have resigned? Is it because you've got to see the president to discuss development work? Is it because you have voted against a party position that is not necessarily favorable to your own position? Why these political parties don't want you to exercise your conscience?
Finally, Chair, we've given you quite a lot. And you're a very important group.
Thanks so much.
Political Parties Liaison Committee. But one more thing. Elections are very expensive in this country. We now know. To fight for any elective position now, particularly in the light of what happened in 2022, right? Some of us have been involved in electioneering for quite a while, but I can tell you that the last elections were very expensive, right from the MCA to the president. What would you recommend? I like your proposal that that election agents be catered for. I do want to encourage you to think a little wide, because that's where really corruption gets absolutely amplified. Would you, within the framework of fidelity to political parties, think in terms of legislating the lawyers amongst you, or indeed bringing into, just bring an act of parliament, because I think the Constitution was clear, it says Parliament shall enact election campaign law, election finance law. And I think people have been shying away from this. I would have expected this from the Political Liaison Committee, but it looks like your main interest is to get yourselves entrenched in law. But even as you get entrenched, please, would you agree with me that fighting for election in this country now is the province of the rich? The young Kenyans have no chance, because and I think that's why this itself breeds corruption. Because people say, now I've gotten this position, I have to get my money back. It is business, and quite frankly, friends, as Kenyans, my view is, unless we deal with these matters, which goes to the core fidelity to democracy, fidelity to elections, fidelity to the vehicles that bring you elective positions, then we'll be missing. It will then be that anybody who wants to be elected in this country must look for millions and billions, and therefore the avenue for greater, deeper corruption. Would you please give thought to that? Thank you.
Thanks so much, Your Excellency. On the same, now let me take a few questions and then I'll give some of the legal questions to our lawyers. First, I want to address the issue. I wish if you don't distract His Excellency because it's very important now. I want to hammer something very serious here.
Mr. Adi, please proceed.
Now,
the committee is a committee.
The issue of 83 political parties, the one which was raised by Opio and I, and the strength of the vote. First, I want us to understand that PPLC as a platform, we want to empower it for purposes of participating in regulations or laws that work on the elections. We are not talking about legislative matters.
Yeah.
Also to submit our
Sorry, we have directed you will now excuse us to proceed to the Trans Nzoia Support Professional Association. We thank you very much, PPLC, for your time, and we look forward to receiving the other answers.